Racers.
Racers.
Their claim to fame is every NASCAR team has one at their Lane Mountain. They started out as a technology school and then blossomed into this. And a lot of farm boys.
2,200 grass lost behind Doble.
Rich farm boy.
You can't make this.
Guys, I couldn't go out to sleep. It's full of just. It's on the other side. Dad, you told me to go east of Richmond, Indiana. I said, well, that's true too. That's where they were.
I think for a town our size, the library does a really good job. Don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Shane?
Yeah. Let me do a switcheroo.
Wait a minute, you can bring it up.
Is yours on?
Yeah, mine won't.
Swap it out, I guess.
What's that?
The one beside him is.
This one's working.
How many should we have?
This.
It is a big adjustment.
It is.
Are you ready? Camera's on.
I think so.
Would everyone please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing for an invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, as we gather this evening, this council thanks you for this wonderful town that we live in. We thank you for the privilege to serve the community, and we ask for your strength, courage, and wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Call to order the September 20th meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Council has had a chance to proofread the minutes from our previous meeting. I need a motion to either approve or amend the minutes as presented.
There was some edits that was sent. Were those corrected?
Yeah.
Yes, they've been corrected.
I'll make a motion to approve the corrected minutes.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Dustin Gregg, 5-0.
Are these the corrected minutes here, or do you have, they're there? Okay. Okay.
Under new business, downtown street fairs, Regina Shelby.
I actually have stuff for everybody.
Did the Saturday Street Fair help you?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yes,
Did you make some money?
I did.
Good.
The bills get paid this month. Okay, so I know it seems like it's a little bit early, but I kind of wanted to get things done for next year before other things may happen. The dates that I have given are May 13th, July 8th, and September 9th for next year, and this time in the hopes that High Street will be finished by May of next year. I'd like to close the streets. I feel like it'll be a little bit safer for our vendors and our attendees in order to maneuver the town a little bit better. The street fair this past Saturday went really great. The ability to use Indiana Street was perfect. We had a lot of people out on Saturday, a lot of really happy people. I've not really heard any negative comments about this past weekend at all. The map that I gave you, the red blocks on the map just show where I'd like to have the street closed. It would make it it's essentially just like we do for Victorian Christmas.
And you're wanting to make it a fundraiser for Victorian Christmas?
Yes. So any money that's left over after the expenses that it costs for me to put on the street fair will be, just like this past Saturday, will be donated for Victorian Christmas. Yeah. I don't think that any one business or one person should benefit solely from the street fair. I think it's, for the benefit of everybody in town.
Yeah. Have you filled a permit?
I did. I actually gave it to Tom.
Okay.
Yeah.
For all 3 dates?
For all 3 dates, yes.
The permits have not gone to the department heads yet. So
Okay.
This is just the application filled out by
Yes.
her with the dates. So I don't know if we need to get the department heads. I don't know if we're putting the cart before the horse. Just a little bit backwards from what we normally do.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Don't be sorry for the fact that you're asking a year in advance. That's fantastic.
I'm just trying to be prepared.
That's good.
I will say that after talking to Matt back here, that the July date, July 8th, they were saying that is on 4th of July week. So it may be a little tough to pull that one off. I've spoken to Hallie. I actually just texted Hallie a few minutes ago to see if she has another date in July that would be better for her. But the current dates that I have were picked between Hallie and I at 5 East to try to make sure we don't interrupt anything that she does.
Do we want the department heads to look at this as we normally have? Let them sign off on it and then come back to us?
Yeah.
Hate to do that to you,
No,
but
no,
I
no,
mean,
that's
we're far
fine.
enough ahead that we have that luxury.
Okay.
Why don't you solidify your dates to
And make sure.
make sure?
Okay.
She wouldn't need to come back though. She could just submit them to the clerk through the department heads, right? And we could just put it on the agenda.
We could put one of the department heads in charge of presenting it. Which one do we want to do it to? Huh? Carrie? Do we want to do it to Chief Carrie? Huh?
Yeah, the chief of police just raised his hand. He was the only one.
That's the new in him. Okay, what we're going to do is, if you don't mind, what I'd like for you to do is are there any of these department heads that you normally talk to or that you've been talking to in the past?
Which is your favorite?
Matt quite a bit.
Okay, why don't you solidify, like he said, solidify those dates. Talk to Matt if those dates are still good. Matt, you're going to be in charge of getting everyone to sign off.
Sorry.
Carrie, you are going to come back to us and say, hey, look what I did. And it's going to make all the other department heads look bad because you did it. Is that acceptable to you?
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Dave, or Matt, this will be up here for you.
I can give it to him if you'd like.
Are you wanting the park as well to use
From
the?
Bicentennial Park. So
Yeah.
once I get approval from you guys, then I'll go to the park board again and talk to them as well.
And you're okay. That's how it's been working. So, okay,
Yeah, they were really great to me last week when I went and seen them.
okay.
Everybody was really helpful, and I appreciate you guys giving me last minute permission to get that done. It was a big help, especially for us on Indiana Street that have had cruddy business lately.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gateway Light.
I think this was, Dave, I think you sent something out as far as we finally got someone with a quote.
I did. I've been working with Lights Electrical on this. He's put a lot of time into it so far. And last week he did provide a quote. It was quite shocking, the amount. We've reached out to several people. There was someone on Facebook this week said that he could do it, so I found his phone number and I called him. He's like, well, I'll see if I can do it. So I don't know.
Now, White's had parts ordered that they were going to get. Is that not happening? I know the last update that you gave was they were waiting on some type of parts.
Yeah, so he ordered some parts. He did a lot of work on the torch on the north end. Got it to work for a little while, but it's out again. But these new parts that he's looking at are an LED, kind of a flexible. It's kind of like a rope, but he wants to line on. It'll have a different look. Same look, but a little different. But again. It's very expensive.
He basically said that the lights that are in it are not waterproof, correct? They're not
Correct.
really for outdoor use. So they're getting water in them.
That's the original installation.
Yes.
What he did up north, I think he threw a Band-Aid on that to get it to work for a while to see what would work, and but he has a much more extensive fix for it in mind with this quote.
Dustin, have you put this on your agenda, correct?
Yeah, I have served this council long enough and know the direction it will go, so I just put it on the agenda last week, actually, for the RDC.
Okay.
Not that I have a crystal ball, but I know where it's going.
Been there, done that.
Well, I think we've tried, we've struggled, we've looked for outs. I mean, it's been through, 2 or 3 vendors trying to find someone that can do it. It's still a local company. And I don't think that the RDC has ever kicked on saying, no, we're not going to do it. They just said, we just don't know how. And maybe we found the right guy. You're confident with his explanations and...
Yeah, I have full confidence, and he has full confidence in himself to get it done, and he wants to maintain it and stay on top of it once it's installed. It's pretty elaborate, but he's right here in Mooresville, and he'll see it every day, and he wants to maintain it if we go with White's Electric on this. Now, the quote that he did provide is a high end. He said that there's a lot of labor that can be shaved off of it if they don't have to be out there as much as that quote specifies. So,
Not to exceed.
yeah.
There's a specific prohibition against breaking them down just to get under there.
What if we want to see if it works? And then we'll do another one.
You've just said that on the record.
We want to see if it works. We've struggled with this now for 27 years.
Feels like it, yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
We've had, he's looked at it. We've hired him to do some work, and he's saying that does not work. Hey, is it changing? It's just changing the approach, I guess. What do you see it as legality as far as us, or as far as the redevelopment board letting the job?
Because this is on a structure, it could be determined as a not just a service because you have stuff going in, but as a public work. Yeah, at this 122, it doesn't reach the full bid requirements that you have out there, but you got to go get and invite quotes to come into this. So that's my concern there. If the determination is to do it under one of these, then we may be able to go down the road of a small purchase where we attempt to get the 3 quotes type of situation.
But we've had 2 people walk away from the job.
But this is the first time I've seen a number like this.
Would the redevelopment board have any more leeway if it's an ongoing project? With the gateway?
I mean, I can't counsel redevelopment because they have their own counsel. I would say that if it's able to be tied in with another project, there's a possibility of more leeway, but you're still looking at, I don't know how you're going to be able to loop this in under an existing project because I don't necessarily they have a project going right now, right? It's not like redevelopment working on something there and this is kind of almost like a change order type situation. it's fixing the issue, so. Now, I will say, if you want to go down the road of trying one out, the way that this quote is written, it's broken down to 3 separate jobs. So he's got them dated for the date of the quote. So the first, but all of these are 9/15/2022. One job is the gateway at the south end, one job is the gateway at the north end, and one job is the large gateway at the end of 67, so.
If we're asking the redevelopment board to pay for it, wouldn't that be, that would be up to them how they let the job?
Correct.
Jeff, do you have a problem with letting the redevelopment board do this as they see able to pay for it?
I would prefer that.
Shane?
Yeah, I just had one question. Are the original contractor that sold us this, I mean, an inferior product from the start, it's never worked correctly. Are we well past any kind of litigation towards them?
When was it put in?
17,
Was it that long ago?
2017. No?
It was there before I came back on. I do believe, 16. You remember, Jeff, was it there?
I
Yeah,
thought it
you
was
got
right in 17 also. I mean, it took a while.
I mean, if we have a contract for that I could take a look at, we could see, but just generally speaking, talking about almost 7 years, it's.
I'm sure, Dustin, you guys will pursue that, won't you? I mean, if we can get it fixed, then you can send it to your legal counsel for,
Yeah, I'll send it to Adam. See if he can find something.
I think the contractors are well aware that, between the council, the redevelopment boards, and everyone complaining about it, I think they should be well aware that we have a problem. Greg, do you have any? Right, sure. Dustin, I'm not gonna ask you.
Please don't.
No? Take it to the redevelopment board and please advise us at our next council meeting.
I will do so.
Department head reports. Do you wanna give your department head next?
I think I'll go ahead and give my department head report.
There you go. So,
We've been working with Tailored Systems for quite some time. They monitor our doors and our camera system. Since we've hired them, they have moved to Silicon Valley, or sold to Imran, I think is probably is. Very difficult to work with them. They held us hostage a month ago. They submitted a bill. A week later, they said that we're not giving you control of your doors and cameras until you pay the bill. So I'd like to ask the council for permission to seek a different vendor for our doors and camera systems. This is just, once they sold out, they became very difficult to work with. They're on a totally different time zone. Try to get things done in the morning and they're still in bed. So I hope it don't go like the lighting did, but I'd like to seek a different vendor for these services.
I think we talked about this when Julie was ready to, I think she had purchased first class tickets to the West Coast to whoop on someone.
Yeah.
When they,
It's a nightmare for Julie and the ladies in the clerk's office as well.
comments or questions for Dave?
By all means, go. That's a good idea.
Motion for him to seek another vendor, if not 2 or 3, for our doors and cameras.
Motion for Dave to move forward with seeking other vendors for cameras and doors.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin and Greg, 5-0.
Dave, these camera systems, are they also at our police department? Are they the same ones that they use?
I believe so. I know that they can control them from the police department.
Do you know the answer to that?
Police, park, and wastewater treatment, I do believe. So this is going to be a big contract that you're going to have to look at the big picture. I know that you just want them to work here, but we need to, and you probably need to talk to the responsive department heads on it.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, is making sure they're all in the loop.
Sure. We'll get together and make sure that we're all on board and all in agreement. The only other thing I have, our leaf season begins October 17th and it'll run through mid-December, 19th, I think. That's all I have.
The downtown building seems to be going pretty well.
Yeah, so they made a lot of progress today. They're being very careful, no mistakes. They're doing a great job, and the communication's excellent. It's coming. So
A lot faster once they get the top floor off.
yeah, they took a big chunk out of it today. So
I think they originally told you 4 days, but they didn't say which 4 days, did they?
yeah, it's a little trickier than everyone thought, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Police body cams, Chief Buckner. Chief Buckner, would you like for us to go in alphabetical order from this point forward?
Yes, please, so I can get out of here. I brought somebody from Motorola with me because he's the expert on this. But so I was able to meet with Motorola about the body cam grant that we had going on that Chief Julian had started. And so I made sure the grant was good to go, but we have to make sure the cameras are on our officers and operational by the end of the year or we lose the grant. So this grant's for $17,600. And our buy-in is going to be $4,400 that we have to put in along with their monies. That's just for this year, so I'll have to reapply for the grant next year, and so on for the next 5 years. Jared sent me, of course, the price has gone up since we priced them the first time, a few $1,000s, and he actually has two different options here for us on the body cams. The first option is that if we pay $18,382 on the first year, then every year after that, up to the fifth year, will be $14,112, which would fall within that grant if we get the exact same amount of money on that grant. And so, with the other price, you pay less the first year, but then you pay more for every year. It's just kind of two options. I want to be able to make sure that the board got two options on the payment plan. But I would like to go forward with this project so we can get the body cams purchased so we didn't lose the grant. It's a lot of money to let go.
Is it a matching grant?
Well, I mean, it's not. I say it's a matching. Yeah, they provide $17,600 and we have to pay $4,400.
Okay, but I mean next $17,600 per year? Or
That's
for
what
the
they're
first
giving
year?
us this year to
Okay.
do the initial purchase, and then the town has to match $4,400.
Okay, and then if the payment goes down for next year, will we get 80% of the payment? Or, I mean, will you put that in the grant, how much what our obligation is?
I think the grants is, I don't know a whole lot about grants, but I think the grants a set amount.
Okay,
So if we get $17,600 again next year, then we could always apply that towards what we owe, and probably maybe that would be something that I would ask you.
Yeah, I mean, the out years would be lower than that for the others. So if you got the same amount next year, it would actually be more than what the year two cost would be.
yeah, but what I was afraid of was I don't want them to come back and say, hey, this was an 80-20 match and you guys didn't kick in your 20%. I just didn't know how that, if they administer that or if we have to.
That's a good question. I really don't know.
I don't want you to go to jail for embezzling grant money.
No, I don't want to either. And I looked at the camera system. It's a really nice system. It integrates with our current reporting system, the Spillman system. It also gives a couple of extra things for the town, so people in the town can get on the website and actually see where our officers have been on different runs. So I know a lot of times business owners are
accuse us of not checking their businesses, but they'll be able to get on there and see that we were actually there due to a GPS type thing. So it's a good system.
And is there an annual fee on that, or as far as any software updates or anything like that, or is that all included?
So that's all included in the
Okay, great.
cost. Yeah, and it's a 5-year term. After the 3rd year, we refresh all the hardware. As new technology comes out, we'll replace it, the new body cams, mounts, chargers, everything you need from that regard.
We had talked in previous meetings about having extra chargers or something. What?
That's actually put into this.
That
quote.
is in it.
That was actually the increase.
Okay.
The set subscription cost of $49 a month, it's still $49 a month. We added some additional chargers.
Yeah, because initially the first quote we got, we had cradles that were going to go in the car that could actually download information. But when I talked to Steve Ellsroth, he said that our hotspots aren't really equipped to handle that much data. So we just decided to put maybe some chargers in the cars instead of a download docket, and then put an extra docket into the roll call site for when they come into work. They put their camera in there. It takes 7 to 8 minutes. It downloads everything off of it, and they go on about their way. So, and I'll be working on a policy of, obviously, that once these are out on the street, before they're out on the street, I'll get a policy together and take it before the commission so it can get approved. So we have some guidelines for the officers when they use their cameras and when they're not supposed to use their cameras, and so on and so forth. The good thing is that the cameras we have now, we've been looking for editing software because people want to see, incidents or whatever. And the editing software that we've looked at, most of it's like $15,000 or $16,000. Theirs actually has a editing software that comes with it, so that saves us a little bit of money on the front end.
And this is in no way reflects on any past decisions or anything like that. Are you satisfied with the equipment yourself?
Yes, that's why I didn't even want to bring it to you guys before I put my hands on it. And they brought an individual from Utah or Salt Lake City, and then somebody from Chicago that actually have a lot to do with these. And I was actually able to put my hands on the equipment, and it's a good system. I've seen other systems. This is a good system. The officers can actually take them off and take recordings and take photographs with, or not still photographs, but recordings with it, which will help us on our evidence on certain crimes. And they have a warranty as far as them getting damaged. So, cops are hard on things. So. And it's cop proof, so they can't get in and erase anything either. So.
Are there any questions for Chief?
I'm a little confused.
Go ahead.
You want to go?
No, go.
I'm a little confused on the dollar amount because I heard you say 18,000 somewhere and then 4,400.
Yeah. So
and then 17,600. So I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So the grant we're getting from the government is $17,600.
Okay.
We have to match $4,400 in order for us to get that money. The price, there's two different pricings here, two different payment plans basically. And the first one is if we pay up front the first year $18,382, then our following years will be lower. They'll be $14,000, and which will fall well underneath that grant price. The other pricing is that we pay $16,119 the first year, and it only goes down to $15,624. Both which are within our grant price. That's assuming that we get that same grant amount of money every year, which,
I guess I'm still not following. 17,600 plus 4,400 is not. You're saying we get 17,600 in a grant, right?
Yes.
And we have to pay 4,400.
Yes.
So what's that total?
You're asking my education.
It's more than 18 something. It's
Okay.
It's 22.
And any extra monies that we put in towards at the first year will reflect on our following years. It will reduce the number of.
And where does the grant come from? Is it from Motorola itself?
No,
or?
it's a Department of Justice grant.
Okay.
I already contacted them, had everything switched out to my name, and so I can monitor that grant, and they're just waiting basically for us to get the cameras.
Okay.
You have to reapply every year, or?
Yes.
So what's the total if there was no grant?
But the total, no matter what, is,
Annual total.
the annual total. Well, there's two different ways to do it, depending on how much you gonna pay. If you pay this $18,382 up front, then it's only $14,000 a year.
Okay.
But the actual total is either $74,000 or $78,000, depending on what payment plan you pick up. And it was $70,000 and some change, or $75,000, so it's gone up a little bit.
What about the, before they were talking about like a geolocator and all of that?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So in order to take advantage of some of the features of the system, you would need to get some geo-validation packages for your CAD system. We did hear back from that from our CAD folks, and that price has stayed the same since last year. So it's not necessary. You don't have to have it.
Okay.
It lets you take advantage of some of the things that the body cams can do. So you don't have to do it now. You can do it later on. You can do it now. It's kind of up to you.
And what was that price?
I have to double check.
With great confidence, you said it stayed the same.
It did say the same, yeah. Because I talked to him. I talked to him just a little bit ago on my way here, and they said that it would stay the same from last year. I think he emailed it to Steve just a couple hours ago.
Did Steve Ellsworth talk to you about that part? I think, wasn't there something about having to have a run of fiber between the county and here or something?
No, that's to link the Spillman systems together.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on that. There was a little resistance. I guess there was some, before me.
So that has nothing to do with
No.
the
The
geolocator?
The
Okay.
geolocator is specific to these cameras. We have GPSs in our vehicles,
Okay.
and that's just a separate system. But it doesn't really, it's not a Motorola system as far as I know.
But this would be on the person, if it would locate the person
Yeah.
via the camera device.
Yeah. And your CAD system needs to be able to validate that address. So essentially what would happen is a run goes out from CAD that's at, 123 North Main Street. The CAD system would need to validate that 123 North Main Street actually exists. And if it gets the thumbs up, essentially what it does, once that video gets uploaded, if I turn my body cam on near 123 North Main Street at the time that the call went out, the system will automatically link that video to that CAD incident number so that the officer doesn't have to take time afterwards to make sure that everything gets linked up right and it's in the correct. So again, that's, it's not 100% necessary that you do that. It's just if you don't do that, the officer will need to go in after it's uploaded and put in the incident number so that everything is searchable and where stuff is and that sort of things. So from that regard, it could be a cost savings, right?
Jeff, did you have anything?
No.
Greg? Dustin?
No.
Can you get the equipment here to where by the end of the year? How are you on inventory?
So, it'll honestly be tight. I talked to the factory today, and we've got a couple of others that are in the same boat. They're confident they can do it, but it will be tight.
And that's one of the reasons I brought him here, because the lady that came down from Motorola in Chicago, she pretty much needs to know something right now. It's just like everything else. Things are being sold out and things are getting thin, and so we need to know whether we can go forward or what the status is.
We've talked about this for 2 years now, guys. But I think every time, if you read the minutes, every time it was, hey, we're going to wait until we find out this, until we find out that. We're there and we're at a drop dead date. I need a motion to have them go ahead and proceed or to take away cameras completely, one or the other.
Motion to proceed.
Good deal. Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made. All in favor?
Aye.
Buy us some cameras.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Jeff, Shane, 5-0. Hey, did you have anything else for your report?
I did real quick, and I don't know how to go about this, but I discovered an entire closet full of computers. And so I don't know, they're older ones, but not real old, and they've been scrubbed. And so I talked to Mr. Upton down at Mooresville School, and what I'd like to do is I guess you don't call it donate, just transfer those to they have a computer science class, so the kids will have something to work on, because it's just taking up a spot at the PD, and I don't know what the procedure is to do that.
Can we can we deem those surplus?
So you'd want to deem them surplus. Do they have any model numbers? If you can
Yes.
just send me all of that stuff,
Yes.
we can draft it up. You can go ahead and talk to the school saying that it's going to be coming over. We'll draft up the resolution for the surplus and that they will be donated to the school.
And some of them are just towers, so I've just list them as that.
Yeah, and so just so we have everything listed out, but it makes it a little bit easier because we're going to another governmental entity, so.
Okay.
What about any issues with making sure they really are scrubbed? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of,
Well, Steve pulled the hard drives out of some of them.
Okay.
And he used some kind of program to scrub them.
So I can't, I'm taking the chief at his word that they're scrubbed and that they're clean. I mean, we'll want to make sure that they are so that there's no identifying information or things of that nature on there, but
And most of our stuff is cloud-based. I mean, like our reporting system, it's not going to store data on that particular computer. It stores it in like the cloud. So a lot of that stuff is down on our server, like anything that would be sensitive, like social security numbers, names, things like that. And I don't really know what the procedure would be to double-check Steve's work. I mean, I pretty much trust that if he says they're scrubbed, they're scrubbed. And I don't have enough knowledge to get on there and check them, so.
I don't either.
that's my only,
yeah, I mean,
giving it to high school kids, you said?
Yeah, I think they learn how to build computers and fix computers and
Not
stuff
to
like
bash them or anything, it's just,
either that or
Given
or
where it's
sell them
coming
online,
from.
we have the same situation. I thought we'd benefit Mooresville schools and get them that, so. And, yeah.
I love the concept, I'm just worried about the information being really scrubbed,
I'll check into it for you and see if there's any way that we can, that we need to double check it or whatever. But as far as the camera thing, also talked about Taylor, they came in and worked on our cameras. I didn't know we were having a problem, but I don't know who Mooresville Schools goes to. I saw their camera system today. We did a code red drill. They got some pretty nice cameras there.
I think they go through Telemagine.
So,
Okay.
all right, and I just have this for Mr. Lee.
thank you.
I didn't forget this time. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Chris?
Good evening. We had spoken previously and had notified the attorney and kind of asked if there were, our attorney, which is his attorney, if there was any reason why the park would not want to request annexation of 5 parcels. We really hadn't heard anything other than other parks and organizations said that there is no reason we absolutely want to. So the park board went ahead and requested that I come to the town council and request that 5 parcels of land that they're all deeded under different names, but it's all the park or the park board or Mooresville Park or Mooresville Park and Recreation be annexed by the town. I sent the 5. There is one additional one that actually is civil town of Mooresville that's your property that's outside, just as an FYI. But I didn't know how to proceed with that.
You gave all the parcel IDs and information there, so we'll be able to prepare the map and get the ordinance together. We'll have to advertise and have the public hearing on the super voluntary, and then we'll just move through. So that information is all we'll need.
This issue was first presented to us by actually Steve Elsroth, and I think it has to do somewhat with, like, if someone's in the park and dials 911, if there's an emergency, it would ping our police station rather than Morgan County. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're working, so they're working on a precision location 911, and it'll be next month. Motorola's gonna be able to test, or whoever's gonna be able to test, to make sure that they all hit in the correct jurisdiction.
That's the reason he presented it. I thought it was a good reason if someone's walking in the back of the park, you know, and has a heart attack or something like that.
Yeah, I think the discussions that we've had, though, regarding this is with the county's move to get rid of the buffer zones.
That's also, yeah.
We don't want our park sitting out there technically.
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
county.
all because of the buffer zone. So I think they had identified 2 or 3 properties, and there was actually 6, 5 of which the park, own, and then one is the town. And I can provide that parcel as well if you need that, can be part of it.
Why would they be deeded separate, all in different names?
I'm working on getting that all changed and what
I
that
don't know
would.
why they would be, they shouldn't be, it should just be under the name, the official name of the park board.
Yeah, that's kind of
If they're
concerning.
holding it, but, we may have to go back just to make sure that title is clear on it, but I don't see that being a big problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have talked to, well, originally it was Beth, but I've talked
Ashley?
to Ashley quite a bit about it, of changing that, making it all consistent so it'd be the same. So
Yeah.
that's in the process of doing that. So
That makes me wonder if there's other things like that out there.
Well,
We should look at all the
I
town
think-
properties.
I think what they've done is, the first parcel was probably Laudermilk, and I think at the time, the park didn't have the money to buy that years
Oh.
and years ago. And probably the town purchased it, and maybe how the paperwork, but none of those properties were done at the same time. I think they were all piecemealed
two
back
were done at
together.
the same time, but they probably were named the same, the two on County Line. But you're correct. There's, some by the soccer field, some that are County Line adjacent, and then the other one's Laudermilk.
I think that was who could afford it at the time, maybe.
Well, I think a lot of it too has also been, for example, North Park or Rooker Run, anything that are your neighborhood parks, usually come from the developer. So depending on how that was done, may not have been consistent with. I mean, our department in general has not been consistent with whether it's Mooresville Park and Recreation, or whether it's the board, whether it's the department. So
Should we
we'll
look
get
at
that
those
cleaned up.
while you're doing this, just to get them all the same?
Well,
I
yeah,
have it all.
well,
Like North
the
Park?
annexation's gonna be the annexation
Right,
itself.
as a separate issue, but
That won't change the underlying, how it's held.
Yeah, the naming is just under the deeds, and she's
Yeah, we
giving me
can
the
fix-
information. I already have it's all listed of the
Okay.
different ones and what they're named. So that's all part of it.
All in Brown Township. And the park is a township-wide park entity.
Yes. So my next one's fun, because I like talking about restrooms. Old Town Park restrooms, the replacement of the Old Town Park restrooms has been in our capital improvement plan. It has been in the park's 5-year master plan the last 2 times, I believe. So it's about 8-10 years that they've been looking at it, which is part of the reason why there's significant difference in what we estimated and what we're now coming to the council to request. So we would like to demolish the current Old Town Park restrooms. And we would do that, possibly some help with other departments. And then we would purchase from CXT Structure, who has already gone through. It can be purchased on contract through Sourcewell. They've already done the state bidding and all the official stuff. A prefab restroom that comes in, and essentially comes in on a truck and a crane. They lift it, and it's operational in 24 hours. So we would do all the plumbing and everything ready for delivery. They're probably over 180 days delivery right now, so we're looking early summer, late spring if we're lucky. They're really simple structures, but they look nice. Prefab structure. They are in all kinds of places around us. Very common in state parks, but they do have them in Plainfield, Greenwood, Brownsburg, and Indy parks as well. This would be a little bit different than our current Old Town Park restrooms, that we would lock them open during the day and we would lock them closed at night. We've had some issues in that area because those restrooms currently do not close, so that would hopefully solve some of those issues. So the total for the structure, a water fountain / bottle filler, and then site prep would be a total of $173,916. Our initial estimate when we met with Paige on capital improvements was 100-ish. Well, it's not 100-ish, it's 173, so.
So,
park board requested that I come and request that as a capital improvement project, which I believe all of this is, obviously funding is up to you, but I know our capital improvement projects were tagged as possible food and beverage funding. So that's what park board asked that I come request.
But you have a capital improvement fund of $500,000.
We do have a capital improvement fund, and most of that, from what I have been told in the past, I'm still trying to figure out that fund a little bit. I know a lot of it is for emergency work, if there's anything that happens to specifically the aquatic center. And then also, we are meeting in November about potential future development for amenities to be added or improved at the park.
And you use the non-reverting operating. That's what you purchased some of the properties with, wasn't it?
Yes, that probably shouldn't have been done that way, but that's going to cut quite a bit out of the operating. We do use that as a
It's
rolling
going to cut
for
the
one
same
of our.
amount out of food and beverage.
Huh?
It's going to cut the same amount out of
Well,
food.
people continue to eat though.
What do you have to do to order it? To order this from the company?
I've been in contact with the gentleman. I have all the paperwork. I just need to fill out the paperwork, and I believe I would need I don't have it in front of me, but the payment of $167,555.
Pay them up front and in advance?
I believe so. I need to double check.
How did you come to this particular company? Was there a bidding process or something that the park board did, or?
No, this does not, they qualify as Sourcewell, so this company is very common. The prefab is really the way for restrooms, concession stands that a lot of companies or a lot of park departments and things are going towards, just because it's that much easier for installation and the turnaround when it's delivered. So CXT is probably the most well-known in our industry. I've seen them at national and state conferences, and then I've also seen them at other parks.
The Sourcewell public bidding?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Sourcewell
that's
is
what
one
we
of those
did with
statewide things, and I think we use them.
for the snowplow. The street
I believe
sweeper.
There's
something
been
like
a
that.
few things we've used them for.
So it's kind of like piggybacking on a state bid.
Yeah, it is a competitive process at
Yes.
least.
Yeah, it satisfies the bidding processes.
Yeah, and I see you wrote it in here. I just didn't read it all the way through, I guess, or I've missed it.
What number's food and beverage?
Did you say there's other projects for your capital improvement plan with the 500,000 in there that or is that just in case?
So some of both. In the past, it's always been in case kind of the quote was if the bottom of the pool falls out. But there have been some things that were used, but we are looking at future development. We bought a couple properties. We're trying to see. Some of the discussion was, and I don't really want to speak out of turn because it's up to the park board of what they do, but there's been discussion of adding another shelter. Again, these are in our capital improvement plan as well. So adding another shelter, a possible playground, pickleball courts has probably been the most popular thing that's been discussed recently. So some of that funding would come from there as well.
What do we have allocated for that? Because I know we just did an additional appropriation out of it.
Did you say what was allocated for this originally?
No, what was allocated for food and beverage?
What are you looking at?
Are there camera systems in the Old Town Park area?
No.
No? Plans to put some there with this new building going up there?
Not as of now. We don't have any Wi-Fi or anything that would be needed for that.
Dave, does our street garage
I was gonna say, is it too
have
far?
angles on the park?
Do I? It's because I'm in the appropriation report.
Wonder if we could piggyback some there, at least to get
I
something.
think some of that really depends on what is going to be done with Old Town Park. If there's any development there, because really it is, so it's used for the scouts. We occasionally have shelter rentals, and that's about it.
It's a nice shelter. Now,
Brand new shelter.
yeah, it's really nice.
We saved you money. Had a tornado come through town. Got a new shelter.
Other than this, the park's in the best shape it's been in my lifetime, really.
A lot of projects coming up, so trying to maintain
Food and
that
beverage.
riverboat.
Chris, does that
Bring the
have,
day.
do we have to furnish a concrete pad or just a stone pad?
It's stone. It doesn't need concrete.
So
Concrete's already on the building. So it's like a,
it's part of the building.
yes. So it needs 12 to 8, preferably it has to have 6 inches of crushed stone. Depends on, I know I talked to Dave, there aren't specifics that is required by the town, but it is recommended 12 to 18 inch of crushed stone. So that's what we have estimated in here. So our guys would do that as well as demolition and everything, so.
Comments or questions? A little apprehensive about paying all of it up front, though.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Legal counsel?
We'll want to look at the contract.
That the issue is if we say, hey, we'll fund it, right now they can buy it themselves. I mean, they will have to look at the contract, but it will be the park board that signs the contract, correct?
Correct. It will be a property of the park.
And I may have it, because I only have the sheets that I gave you, I may have it in my folder back there on the other order form that you sent me. I can go look if you'd like.
No, I'm a little apprehensive about $170,000 with 180 days out.
Would it have to be specially built for us? Or, I mean, I would think custom built things, they would want money up front.
Well,
But
they
it's
don't
just
have
a-
an inventory of them because there are things that are custom, I got to choose, we chose the color options of the rock, the texture of the roof, what kind of wall texture, so some of those things, but I think that's just their backlog of orders. I don't have a standing inventory of, because there are a lot of different models. We came to this model because we did not want single user. Probably was the most basic multi-user flush system. There's bulk, but we want flush. So we don't want bulk.
Okay, the options here are, obviously you can do this. You have the funds to do it yourself as far as the park department, but it is whether or not we want to obligate food and beverage funds to it. We've done I was always told the exact same thing, that the capital improvement was for emergencies. But just like the pool heater, we did step up to the plate and we used food and beverage money with that. The remodel there to our buildings, we've
It's been a great year.
we have. I think that's about all we've spent out of food and beverage is park improvements so far this year. We did additional appropriate the money for the inliner, and we do have, without appropriating more funds, we do have the ability to be able to pay for this. Or do we want to go thirds? Do we want to go halves? How do we want to do this? It's up to the council. Jeff?
I haven't talked to any park board member about it, so I don't know what their future plans are with their capital improvement.
We have a work session the end of November of just trying to figure out what direction they want it to go in, but
But like anything, I don't want to delay the project because I think it's needed in the area. And if we're looking at beginning of the summer, you know, if we order now, I don't want to delay that any more than we have to.
The non-reverting operating, a lot of that's coming from the programs that we're doing there. Is that correct?
From the before and after school care program. Yes.
It is at 600,000,
Yes, that is a
692,000.
fairly fluid because we spend over 50% of what we bring in. Because all of the payroll and everything, as well as expenses, come out of there.
You mean to run the programs themselves? When you say you spend half,
Yes, so all
that's
the
what it
payroll
costs to
for
run the
before and after.
program.
So that's just, half is, of what we bring in, half is just the payroll. For before and after school care. That's not any equipment, that's not snacks, that's not any of your expenses. It's just,
But today in that account is 692,000.
you know, it's 600 and something
Okay.
changes every time I get a report, so.
It's up to this council. We can fund it either way.
I don't have a problem using food and beverage on this.
Shane?
I think that's what food and beverage is for, one of the big uses.
Greg?
Pay for it out of the food and beverage.
Justin?
I'm going to be the odd man out. I want to see a little bit more. I would like to go halves with the park. If they have almost 700,000. I know that they have other obligations, but
You think your board's opposed to going halves, or?
There really has not been any discussion, because I think the explanation of what the capital fund versus the operating, non-revertings, versus food and beverage, I think some of that's still an education we're trying to get across the board, so that has not been any part of the discussion. It's just been a go and ask if it can come out, and they don't even necessarily say food and beverage, but it's not a commitment from them. I would have to go back to the park board, obviously.
What is your opinion? What are you?
I have some reservation of doing it from the capital fund, because obviously the pool's over 35 years old, and I'd really like to see some future development in the park system, which is not going to be cheap. The operating, I think we can do. I'm not comfortable fully funding it, just because we're still trying to figure out the income that's coming in. It changes every year. We gave significant raises so that we could continue that program, so that was able to continue to serve the schools. I personally would be comfortable splitting it, but I would need the park board's approval for that.
Does the council want to make an obligation of funding half of this project with food and beverage? Need a motion, however you guys want to do it.
make a motion, we approve food and beverage to be used for half of this project.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Justin, Greg, 5-0.
We'll go back to the park board and let you know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one question, Chris. With
Yes.
Plainfield's new plans to basically make a super park, do we have any future plans to tie into their soon-to-be Sedalis 2.0?
So I don't know anything about Plainfield's future super park.
Okay.
There have previously been discussions about connectivity, and one of our visitors might want to speak of that if he knows any more than I do.
Sorry, Jeff.
But there has been discussion for years of connectivity, even before Plainfield owned Sedalis, of connectivity of Sedalis to Pioneer Park. There were some issues in between that space of landowners that I think has since been resolved or has changed. So those discussions are probably ready to be put back on the table.
Okay. Sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
Sorry, Jeff.
A report? In front of you, there were documents that were dropped off by Diana from the library board. It's just a courtesy update of their notice to taxpayers on their budgets. While we don't have a whole lot of input or say in that, as a courtesy, since we do have an appointment to their library board, I think it may be statutorily that they do notify us after the fact, but they have always been very good about coming to us. Diane sends her regrets that she couldn't make it to our meeting this evening. Legal counsel.
We are finalizing the organizational chart so that the ADA transition plan should be ready for action at the next meetings.
That's it.
That's the last
It's been a long time coming. Public comments. Jeff, there's no sign in or anything?
Yeah, none.
Motion for approval of payment of claims.
Make a motion, we approve claims in the amount of $601,560.90. 601,560.90.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Dustin and Craig, 5-0. Jeff?
I'd just like to thank Diane and her office for our budget workshop last meeting. I thought that went really smooth. It's not what I anticipated. I thought it was well organized. I thought she had things set up very nicely for the council as well as the public. So wanted to thank her for that.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Kane?
Just want to reiterate that if you're interested in helping with the 200th anniversary, which is in 2024, but is being planned now, you can go to mooresville200.com. And also, a former Mooresvillian of the Year passed away, Jack Ward. So I think we ought to recognize his tremendous contribution to the community and the family. They are do so much for the town and the people in the town. So just want to recognize Jack Ward.
Greg, you're up.
Okay. FYI, the Mooresville Redevelopment Commission is going to be putting out there for proposals for requests for proposals for design services for the Main Street project. Kind of like the same thing they did down on Indiana Street, except with no bump outs or islands. It's pretty much going to bring uniformity to the curbs. Like down here on Main Street where the curbs were high. When I was a kid, I used to get griped at all the time for hitting the car doors on that curbs. We have some of the curbs are asphalt. It's just an upgrade on Main Street. 2 sidewalks. Hopefully there'll be some drainage improvements. Get the water off the street quicker. It'll go from the tracks down here to the library on Main Street, or to that intersection in the road. And it's kind of earmarked for 2024 start, but we're kind of trying to see what the bison or the 200-year celebration is looking like, so it doesn't affect that. So, you know, basically that's about it. More information to come.
Tom? Tom, could I jump in with one more comment? I know I'm past. Is it okay with you? What? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, wanted to just mention that the town comprehensive plan is well into the process, and members of the public can go to planmooresville.com to take surveys on your community and kind of see how the process goes. But if you want to have input on your community and the future of the community, go to planmooresville.com. Thanks. Thanks.
Greg, anything else? Anything else? Dustin?
Thanks, Greg.
I know this used to be a church and a lot of people are gonna duck real quick, but, Shane, you spearheaded the working with legal for the unsafe building ordinance. Obviously, you're seeing the fruits of your efforts up there, so take that for what it's worth.
Thank you.
The passing of Jack Ward, you know, his obituary said that they had some lean times here. And every businessman in the town of Mooresville has seen the good times and the lean times, but it's still one of the best communities in the world that I know of that to operate and raise a family and have a business. So Jack was a instrumental part of that. In seeing his resume and his pedigree, hard to believe a guy could buy blue jeans off that man. So, I mean, he was a very well-traveled, well-experienced person. And the town's a little less today because of that loss. Our next meeting date will be October 4th. You guys, what time you guys want to do it?
Noon.
Noon? 6:30? Right here. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And Shane, 5-0.
Passing notes in class.